After 60, finding the right kind of love isn't easy. And if you still haven't learned how to truly love yourself, even a good man won't know where to begin with you. But don't worry, so many older women have felt the exact same way until they made a few simple but powerful shifts that changed everything. Hi, it's Vernon again, and in this video, I'm going to share 4 essential hard truths every woman needs to make. Trust me, no man can truly love you until you do this first. Before we get started, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is a space for real conversations about love, relationships, and growth after 60. Because at this stage of life, you deserve nothing less than truth, depth, and connection. So let's get into the first shift, the one most women overlook, even though it's the key that quietly unlocks the heart of an emotionally mature man.
Number 1. Love yourself first. Maya Angelou once said something that stops me in my tracks every time. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And when it comes to love after 60, the first thing we must change is how we see ourselves. A man falls in love with a woman who radiates self-respect, not self-sacrifice. When you constantly put yourself last, you're not being noble, you're being invisible. You're training him to see you as someone whose needs don't matter. Think about it this way. If you met a woman who constantly apologized for her opinions, who rearranged her entire life around other people's schedules, who never said no to any request, would you see her as someone whose time and energy were valuable? Or would you unconsciously start treating her the way she treats herself? The deepest truth about personal growth after 60 is this: love doesn't complete you. It joins you when you're already complete. When you love yourself first, you stop looking for a man to validate your worth. Instead, you become someone worth loving because you already know your own value. This means honoring your own needs. It means saying no when your energy is depleted. It means taking time for activities that bring you joy, even if others don't understand them. It means speaking kindly to yourself, the same way you'd speak to a dear friend going through a difficult time. When you truly love yourself, you show up differently in relationships. You don't accept crumbs because you know you deserve the whole meal. You don't tolerate disrespect because you respect yourself too much. This isn't about being demanding or difficult. It's about having standards that reflect your worth. Share this video with the women in your groups and communities who might need this reminder. Sometimes we can't see our own worth, but we can help each other remember it. Now, loving yourself naturally leads to protecting that self-worth. And that brings us to something most women our age struggle with, but absolutely must master.
Number 2. Set boundaries without fear. Here's what I've learned from counseling women for over 2 decades. Boundaries don't scare the right man away. They attract him. They show him you respect yourself, so he must too. My dear friend Sienna, a vibrant 63-year-old retired teacher who I met through my sister's book club in Phoenix. She'd been seeing Harry for 3 months when a troubling pattern emerged. He'd make plans, get her excited about dinner or a theater show, then cancel at the last minute with work excuses or sudden family emergencies.
Sienna called me after the 5th cancellation, her voice shaking with frustration. "Vernon, am I being too sensitive? Maybe I should be more understanding. Men our age have responsibilities." "Sienna," I interrupted gently, "what would you tell a student who consistently came to class unprepared, making excuses every time?" She paused. "I'd tell them that respect starts with keeping your word." "Exactly. And you deserve the same respect you gave your students for 30 years. The next time Harry called with another last-minute cancellation, Sienna took a deep breath and said, "Harry, I understand life gets complicated, but I won't accept constant cancellations anymore. If you can't keep plans, please don't make them." She hung up, terrified he'd never call again. He called that evening. "Sienna, you're absolutely right. I've been disrespectful of your time. Can we start over?" That conversation changed everything. Harry began treating their dates as priorities, not afterthoughts. 6 months later, he told her, "When you called me out that night, I realized you weren't just another woman who'd accept anything. You were someone worth changing for." Mature men actually crave structure and respect. They've lived long enough to know that anything worthwhile requires effort and consideration. When you set clear boundaries, you're not being difficult, you're being discerning. Many women fear that setting boundaries means being alone, but I've seen the opposite happen countless times. The men who leave when you set boundaries are the ones who are never going to love you properly anyway. The ones who stay, they respect you more, not less. Emotional intelligence after 60 means understanding that boundaries are actually acts of love. Love for yourself and love for the relationship. When you clearly communicate your needs, you give a good man the roadmap to love you well. Boundaries are not walls, as the saying goes. They're gates with very selective entry requirements. Can you guess what happens when a woman loves herself and sets clear boundaries? She naturally starts showing up as her authentic self, and that's where the real magic begins.
Number 3. Embrace authenticity. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And after 60, we've earned that privilege. We've lived long enough, experienced enough, and adapted enough to know which parts of our lives were truly ours and which ones we shaped to meet someone else's expectations. At this stage, authenticity isn't just a nice idea, it's a necessity. It's what allows real love to grow, the kind that lasts, the kind that sees you fully. Because here's the truth. Men don't fall in love with the version of you that's always agreeable, always accommodating, always bending to fit their world. They fall for the woman who knows herself and isn't afraid to live from that place. But for many women over 60, authenticity is still a challenge. Not because we don't know who we are, but because we've spent decades being everything for everyone. We've been daughters, wives, mothers, caregivers, peacekeepers. We've played roles that required us to be patient, to put ourselves second, to keep the peace. Somewhere along the way, we learned to shapeshift to be loved, and now stepping into our truth feels risky. So we agree to things we don't truly enjoy. We pretend to be interested in what someone else likes. We hold back our real opinions, soften our truth, silence our intuition, all to keep someone close. And in doing so, we lose the very thing that would have made the connection real, our full, unapologetic selves. Love, real love, especially after 60, can only thrive when it's built on truth. Your truth. When you stop performing and start showing up as your whole self, that's when the right person actually sees you. And not only sees you, but feels drawn to you. Because confidence at this age doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence, from wholeness, from choosing yourself daily. And the beauty is, when you're authentic, you attract people who are too. You create a relationship where no one has to pretend. And that's the kind of love that brings peace, not pressure. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. And after 60, embracing who you are isn't just liberating, it's magnetic. So the next time you feel the urge to shape yourself to be more likable or more desirable, pause and ask, am I being honest or am I performing? If this message speaks to you, save this video. Watch it again whenever you start doubting your worth, and let it remind you that your truth is your power. Because once you stop performing, it's time to start choosing. And what you choose next will shape everything.
Number 4. Choose joy and independence. The most magnetic woman at any age is one who has cultivated her own happiness. She's not waiting for a man to complete her weekend plans or validate her choices. She's building a life so rich and fulfilling that love becomes an addition, not a necessity. Rose, a spirited 66-year-old dance instructor I know from my neighborhood, embodied this perfectly. When she started dating Michael, he initially seemed supportive of her Tuesday night ballroom dancing classes. But as their relationship deepened, he began making comments. "Why do you need to dance with other men? Isn't spending time with me enough?" Rose felt the familiar pressure many women our age know well. The suggestion that we should scale back our independence for love. Her friends advised compromise. Maybe you could find a hobby you could do together instead. But Rose had learned something powerful over her 66 years. Joy that comes from external sources is fragile, but joy that comes from within is unshakable. She'd spent too many years of her previous marriage dimming her light to accommodate someone else's insecurities. "Michael," she said gently but firmly, "dancing is part of who I am. It keeps me healthy, happy, and connected to my community. I'm not willing to give that up." She prepared herself for pushback, maybe even the end of the relationship. Instead, Michael was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You know what? That's exactly why I fell for you. You have this incredible zest for life. I was being selfish and insecure. Can I come watch you dance sometime?" 3 months later, Michael surprised Rose by taking beginner ballroom lessons himself. Not because she asked, but because her joy was so infectious, he wanted to understand what brought her such happiness. Here's what I've observed about joy and relationships after 60. A woman who doesn't need a man to be happy is the woman men fight to keep. When your happiness doesn't depend on his presence, attention, or approval, you become infinitely more attractive because you're infinitely more free. Independence at our age isn't about pushing people away. It's about bringing your whole, complete self to the relationship. When you maintain your friendships, hobbies, and personal goals regardless of your relationship status, you remain interesting, growth-oriented, and vibrant.
The woman who doesn't need love to be whole is the one who inspires real love. Men can sense desperation from miles away, but they're drawn to contentment like moths to flame. Because in the end, no man can love you fully until you choose to love yourself first, set boundaries that protect your worth, show up authentically, and choose joy regardless of who's watching. By now, you've seen the 4 powerful shifts every woman over 60 must make to attract the kind of love that feels real, grounded, and fulfilling. Learning to love yourself first, setting boundaries without fear, embracing your authentic self, and choosing joy and independence. No man will truly love you until you decide you are worthy of that love. And when you do, when you embody these 4 shifts, something magical happens. The right man doesn't just appear, he stays. For over 2 decades, I've watched women transform their love lives, not by changing themselves for men, but by becoming more themselves for themselves. Margaret stopped overgiving and found David. Sienna set boundaries and earned Robert's respect. Angela chose authenticity and deepened Thomas's love. Rose protected her joy and inspired Michael to join her world. These women didn't find love by becoming someone else. They found love by becoming more fully themselves. Real love doesn't complete you, as I always tell my clients. It joins you when you're already whole. Now I want to hear from you, because your voice matters in this conversation. Have you experienced any of these shifts in your own journey toward authentic love and self-discovery after 60? Maybe you've struggled with boundaries, or perhaps you've had to learn the hard way that overgiving doesn't create lasting connection. Your experiences, both the challenges and the victories, could be exactly what another woman needs to hear today. Sometimes we find our strength not just in expert advice, but in knowing we're not alone in our struggles and growth. Drop a comment below sharing which of these 4 shifts resonates most with you right now. And if this video gave you insight or hope, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest conversations about creating meaningful relationships and living authentically after 60. Check the description for additional resources about building unshakable self-worth and emotional intelligence at this beautiful stage of life. Because you deserve love that honors exactly who you are. And it all starts with honoring yourself first. And I'm Vernon, and thanks for watching my video.